I'm good. Trying to turn it up.
Nice. Can you see us?
Yeah, I can barely hear you. I can see you, I just can't hear you real well.
How about now? Is it better now?
Nope, still can't hear you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I think we can hear you okay. How about you? Can you hear us
No.
okay?
Nope.
Okay. Can you please try the microphone in the ear plug that you have with the iPhone? What do you call the earbuds? Yeah, earpods. Try the earpods. Hope you can hear us better.
I don't have earbuds, but I will. I can put these things in. How's that?
I think we can hear you okay. Hope you can hear us.
All right. And I got you.
Awesome.
As long as I hear these things.
Yep. I would like to request you to please hold the phone like this, horizontal, like a portrait, as opposed to like this. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It will change. Yeah, there we go. Much better. Much better now. And so,
okay, good.
Let me begin. A quick introduction. You probably know me already. We spoke the other day. My name is Nilesh. I teach this cohort. You see here, the class actually starts 5:30. They have come early to meet you. We have the Chief Operating Officer at Rally Point 6 standing right here. You probably know him already.
How you doing, sir? It's good to see you again, sir.
Yeah, he'll come back.
Stand by.
Yeah.
Stand by.
Okay.
Have no fear. What the fuck just happened?
After the class. After December.
Eric, I got you now. Can you hear me?
December 9th.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
All right, giddy up.
Yep. So I was introducing you to the Chief Operating Officer at Rally Point 6. You probably met him already. He's Doug, right here.
How you doing, sir? It's good to see you again.
I'm good, Top. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
And we have the class. I'll go around quickly. Daniel.
Daniel Wormuth, sir. Aaron Sweat, sir.
Hey, tell me your branch, too.
Yes, I'm Reynolds.
Joseph Silvero. Army.
All Army. All of them Army.
All
Ken
Army.
Anderson, Army.
So I figured that would be your service. Tell me your branch. Are you 11 Bravo, 63?
Carlos Munoz, 19 Delta, sir.
Scouts out.
Brandon Finley, 25 Bravo, Army.
Who?
Sachin Bala, 91 Bravo.
Sweet.
Trevor College, 25 uniform.
Not Army. I'm a civilian officer from India, but have resigned 17 years ago. Now I'm in the US. I live here in Sammamish. We have one more gentleman walking in. Hi, introduce yourself, please, and your branch of the Army.
My branch of the Army is Quartermaster. My name's Chad Kinslow, Quartermaster.
Yep. Thank you. And so let me hand it off to Colonel, and it's all yours now. The floor is yours. We are muting ourselves so we don't make noise.
Okay. All right. Look, I appreciate y'all allowing me to do this. It's not too often I get to come back and engage with troopers, especially at Joint Base Lewis McChord in that area. But I want to tell you how much I appreciate you, and I appreciate your service. You're about to make a pretty significant transition. I made the transition 2 years ago, and I'm now the chairman of Easter Seals Dixon Center, where I work with about 30,000 different organizations across the nation that want to assist veterans, just aren't really sure how. Want to assist them in education, meaningful employment, access to health care. and you all are getting ready or have made the transition. And I think that's a big part of what Doug and Nilesh have talked to you about. Have every one of you made the transition yet, or have every one of you are you still in active duty?
I think we have a mixture of active duty, and some have left, some are transitioning, but I'm expecting that almost everybody is expecting to leave the armed forces by December and start civilian service soon after.
For the dancers that have already transitioned out, and you'll get this, when you were on active duty, you found that you got cheers in the airport. People came up and shook your hand, thanked you for your service. They made room for you in first class in some cases. You have people come up and engage with you. In some cases, some service members will make the mistake and use that to define themselves. And the exceptionalism you showed in service, you got to leave on the battlefield. You're no longer the exception to the rule. And so you have to plan and execute this transition meticulously. You are like everybody else, and this is what I learned. I'm still don't define myself based on the single incidents that took place on the battlefield. I define myself now based on the contribution that I can make to other people's lives. And you have to figure out what and how you're going to define yourself. My measurement of success in my military career was not by rank, it was not by promotion or command. I defined success, a successful career in the military, as you have to define what success is for you, and in many cases you all have done that. But you will transition out, and you will make that transition to the military in such a way that you may have expectations that when you get out, everyone is going to still see you in uniform, and you won't be. You are another participant in civil society. And the one thing I will tell you is you have to plan your future very carefully. You have to plan your future carefully, and you have to execute meticulously. There are no more handouts. There are no more cheers in the airport. And so you're defining yourself in a different way. You have to also land your career, dream career, in the IT to industry. No one promised us a good life. They promised us the opportunity to create a good life. The number of troops, and I've worked with about 500,000 troops over the past 4 years, interacted with them. I had a kid come up the other day and say, you know, sir, no one's helping me. And are you kidding me? You know, you survived on the battlefield. You brought rule of law to other countries. What help are you looking for? You are a transition service member now, and that you have to come into this with. People don't know what that means. They know what you are, but they don't know who you are. And so when I say that, the value proposition that you bring to that organization, don't go in and say, I'm a 25 Bravo, I'm a 19 Delta. Your value proposition is leadership. Your value proposition is you understand how to accomplish difficult tasks under short-term notices. Your value proposition is that you can work in a difficult setting with other cultures, that you understand safety, you understand suspenses, and you understand how to achieve those. And you are focused as a leader on making a positive difference on a daily basis through a community of shared purpose. But what we often have is service members that will expect and have expectations. Your exceptionalism was in your service. Now you're coming home, you're no longer the exception to the rule. Make full use of the help you have available now. Rally Point 6 I fought for 4 years. I not only fought for Rally Point 6 for 4 years, but I fought for them to be replicated in communities across the nation. You have the opportunity to now to leverage Rally Point 6 and its network, and you have that trying to replicate in other communities with IT certification, retail certification, even transportation certification. But what you're going through now is one of the few organizations and programs that exist. So make full use of that assistance. And I won't say help you have available now. Let's just say make full use of the assistance you have available now. Learn, practice, and build hard skills. Work on projects and build evidence. This is something we don't real well. A lot of your commanders, your first sergeants, your leaders will come up and ask you have you accomplished something? We don't necessarily focus on projects and work or build evidence when we're done. These are things that you need to leverage, learn, and then bring to that workforce and be able to talk about it. This is a selling point for you into the workforce. You're not going to land a $150,000 a year job. You've got to build into that, and what you've got to do is you've got to show them your expertise in that capacity and that capability. Polish the profile and portfolio with evidence, network, and connect. Build soft skills. Soft skills are something we're not good at in the military. We're good at hard skills. That's what we do. When asked, we kill people. When asked, we engage with at a maximum effective range. But what you have to be able to do now is how you build your soft skills, how you communicate and articulate beyond what other people may not understand that you do. You're going from one culture to another culture, and those culture values are completely different. Selfless service doesn't understand, so you have to adapt to them. Society is not going to adapt to you. The understanding that that networking and connecting, it's okay to ask for assistance, and it's okay to feel uncomfortable going up to somebody you barely know or you only met a few years ago and asking them to network you. It's critical, and they understand it. I got an email the other day from a scout that was in my battalion in 1999 asking for a letter of recommendation for him to go into the fire department. I can't remember this kid to save my life, but he served with me. I'm going to network him. And that's the way it is. We all served at one time or another. Use that network. Use someone that's back in your hometown community, and use what Rally Point 6 will assist you with as well. One of the things that I always tell folks is once you figure out the industry you want to go into is use a targeting methodology for the businesses or the companies and specific jobs you want to use. In the military, we have decide, detect, deliver, and assess. Decide the company and the job you want, detect it, where it's at, what the location is, deliver your resume, your network into that company, and then assess how you go in, what they're doing, how you talk about your skills, and who you engage with. That targeting methodology is critical. And otherwise, it's hua without dua. You ain't going to get crap done unless you go in there with some sort of targeting methodology. And when you go in and you talk to folks, leave your cell phones at the door. Leave your egos and your cell phones at the door, because they're not going to understand you. You go in with a huge ego, or you go in with your cell phone. They're not paying you to come in and have a phone call or text or even get on Instagram while you're in that office. And that's the same as when you show up. Until you get to know the culture of the organization, leave the technology at the house. stay focused on that carefully selected career path that you want at the exclusion of everything else. Avoid randomization. It's easier said than done. Don't be random in your approach. Take that career path that you want. All right. It goes back to you're not the exception. You're now the rule. And that career path that you want, map it out, be specific, and then approach it from that perspective. Because otherwise, you're just kind of haphazardly bouncing around. And a lot of times civilians and civilian employers, they'll feed off your egos and they'll compliment you, they'll tell you how great you are, but you're going into the civilian workforce. The only thing that matters in the civilian workforce from what I've seen, and if you don't make your career path this way, it'll end up being you have to produce product or you have to produce revenue. If you don't produce those two, they'll compliment you, tell you how great you are, and like Lieutenant Colonel I was working with the other day, they'll tell you thanks for your service to our company, it's time for you to go. So you've got to produce, you've got to understand what's required, what their expectations of you are, and then leave the ego at the door, because if you go in with a big ego, they're going to compliment you a lot, tell you how great you are, they'll put you on a pedestal and say, wow, this guy fought, and then you'll get frustrated, they'll get frustrated, and it'll be time to be gone. Measure your progress and really realign as appropriate with target and focus. It's no different than what we've been asked to do in the military. You're identifying a target, you engage the target, you knock the target down. Now it's the same thing in this. Once you get in that job, identify the tasks you've got to do. They want to see you busting your ass. And then from that, once you've done it, go and ask for more opportunities and more chances, because you are much more competitive than your peer competitors. But they don't know you. The employers don't know you, and your military experience doesn't mean a whole lot to them. So that's why you got to be meticulous. You can't create random, and you've got to measure your progress and then make sure they understand what you're achieving. The job search is an emotional roller coaster. And I know everything may sound very not positive, but the reality is that this is reality. It's an emotional roller coaster. I had a kid I went through transition assistance with. I had a staff sergeant on one side of me and a corporal on the other side. I went through the course with them so I could see what they were going through. And the staff sergeant walked out and he looked at me and he said, "Sir, I'm going to make $120,000 a year." I said, "Okay, got it. The burn marks on your lip are from the crack pipe you've been smoking. So what we've got to do is we got to get back to reality. We've got to connect to that reality and understand that your expectations have to be managed, and your expectations, sometimes you'll have good days, sometimes you'll have bad days, but you've got to take advantage of the resources you have there and network. Get off this, people will think LinkedIn is the answer. People want to hear from you. They want to hear email, then the follow up with phone calls. LinkedIn is a great approach, but your profile, your internet presence, that's the first thing I do before I meet with the troop is I look at it, search for them on the internet, and if I got a picture of some troop on the internet, on his Facebook, making stupid comments, it's not helpful. So clean up your internet presence. It's tough, but you are going, if you do it right, you can be going from one life-calling career, in my case, to another. And you'll win this if you take advantage of the resources that are available to you there. My expectation after you go through this training is within just a few weeks you're going to have landed a job. But you got to work on your how you talk about yourself. And it's always a mistake to go into an interview and say hooah. You might not want to do that. Okay. Top, you got any questions?
I lived, yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No, sir. Don't really appreciate you taking the time to go and address the class. They've had some really great speakers come in here, but I can tell you that this is really a privilege, and I know that they appreciate you speaking today.
And
Yeah,
one more
you guys
thing
are
is,
going to do great.
yeah, one more thing. It is 8 o'clock, after 8 o'clock, dinner time for him. He's on the East Coast. So we thank you for taking time out of your family and meeting us. That's really, really appreciate. All of us sincerely appreciate that.
No, it's these late nights that save my marriage, so don't worry about it.
Any questions you may have? Go ahead. Now is the opportunity. We have a few more minutes. Speak your mind.
Has
Yeah,
everyone?
go ahead. Yeah. Yes. Go ahead. Come in the front.
Hi, Greg Warren. I'm transitioning Air Force, so probably any other Air Force in here. So last several years have been basically as a generalist, command chief and superintendent roles. It's hard to translate that. At least I'm finding that hard to translate that on a resume and then talking to prospective employers.
Yeah. Here's what I'd recommend you to do. You think it's hard to translate a generalist in the Air Force, you ought to try explaining what a brigade commander does in the Army. Here's what you want to build on, and you want to sit there and articulate this. First off, the businesses hail your attributes. So focusing on your resume on you were a generalist or anything that is self-deprecating, don't do it. Don't do it in your discussions. Don't do it on your resume. Focus on these 10 things. Accelerated learning curve. And this is for every troop in the room. You have an accelerated learning curve. The difference between a sergeant major and an MBA is a sergeant major's been doing it for 20 years.
So true. Absolutely.
The accelerated learning curve, again, your value proposition of leadership. Leadership is about making a positive difference on a daily basis through a community of shared purpose. They want to hear about that. Leaders inspire ordinary people to achieve amazing things. Leadership is where you achieve those things through a community of shared purpose. Accelerated learning curve, leadership, teamwork. Teamwork that results in sometimes negatives, sometimes positives, but it's teamwork of being able to manage resources and people to achieve things in the quickest amount of time. It goes back to your program management. Efficient performance under pressure. One of the things that I have seen our troops do over and over and over again under the most unbelievable circumstances and conditions is that we create efficient performance under pressure. Tie in then respect for procedures. With the exception of the guy in the Batman shirt, there is respect for procedures that exist. Tie in as much as I'm just busting on you because my son likes Captain America, dude. Don't get defensive. So the respect for procedures that you want to latch on to. We have SOPs, we have regulations. Hell, at Joint Base Lewis McChord, you can't throw a dead cat without hitting a regulation. Take advantage of what that means and how you translate it to the civilian. Technology and globalization. Globalization is something that industry understands, we don't. At the same time, industry understands management, they don't understand leadership. But the military doesn't really understand management real well. That's what it took us 7 years to get to surge operations in Iraq. Okay, so build on your strengths, Don't build on your weaknesses. And then technology and globalization, everything's globalized now. Technology, understand the different platforms, understand how it ties it together. Integrity. I define integrity as the same I would as commitment. Following through on an initial obligation, even after that motivation is gone. This is what they need to understand. They need to understand integrity is why you left the wire every day. Knowing that you may get blown up, shot at, wounded, watch your buddies die. Why would you do that? It's because you have a commitment that is driven by, or an integrity to follow through on an obligation even after that initial motivation is gone. You're conscious of health and safety standards. I can't tell you the number of times that I had to listen to a safety briefing, even as an 06. This is something that civilian workforce doesn't do. And it's something you have to articulate and be able to articulate, whether you're a specialist or a generalist, is that we are conscious of those health and safety standards in everything we do. Whether it's OSHA standards because you're going into a whole new world, or the safety standards associated with their equipment. Look at the jackass in Aurora, Illinois that, you know, set the tower on fire and shut down air traffic control in Chicago. These are things that you need to make sure they understand, that you're aware of, and the second and third order implications associated with it. And then probably the last thing is how you triumph over adversity. That triumph over adversity, whether you're a generalist, a specialist, whether you're a 19 Delta, a 25 Bravo, or a flyboy in the Air Force, you have triumphed over adversity. So giddy up, explain how you do that to them, get it into your resume, get those keywords in there, and make sure they understand that you want to, that hiring you is good for their business. And in your case, you can even talk about the fact that you work so hard in the Air Force, you ain't got no hair left.
That's right, Colonel. Oh my God. Oh. That's hilarious.
What other questions? Hey, let me tell you, employers want to hire veterans. They're often hiring, but often the hiring managers and the HR professionals, they don't understand a military resume. They don't understand your skills and or your experiences. Dude, what's on your shirt? I can't read it.
Oh, it's a college, sir.
Okay, what college?
Gazelle.
Okay, good for you.
It's like Canyon University, Grand Canyon.
Okay. All right, good.
Coming back. Okay. Cool. No, it was free. Sir, I got a question. What other success stories do you know of besides your own career? Did you have like impact on that you've actually seen someone actually have great success in?
Oh, yeah, it's so like I said, I've worked with about 30,000 organizations. I've got worked with about 500,000 veterans over the past couple of years and interacted with them. I have, you know, the problem that you have is when we start making excuses. That's when you don't see the success stories. The troops that'll sit there, you know, we have never had a shortage of naysayers and pessimists. And the job of a specialist is to complain. The job of a PFC is to complain. Once you hit that sergeant level, you better not be complaining. Now you don't get the chance to complain anymore. All right? You don't get to say, I didn't get the word first, sergeant. We have to now understand that the world, we have never had a shortage of naysayers and pessimists. And what that leads to, whether it's in times of uncertainty or combat, the follower will hunker down and wait for better days, and a fortress mentality will kick in. It's those individuals that create a fortress mentality that start going, oh, woe is me, that I no kidding, today ran into a homeless veteran, got his degree from Delaware University right on 15th and I Street in D.C. And I walked up to him. He had a sign out in front of him. He said, the only jobs that are available are blue-collar jobs. Got it. What the hell? You're a role model now. We have to watch out for those circumstances that lead us to believe that we're the exception. I've got guys now that entrepreneurs started their own companies. Everyone from Anthony Allman, who's running and created PosRep, to individuals that are, to me, who are running their own companies. I've got guys every day I'm running into that are in the financial industry, the tech industry, but the one common denominator in every one of those individuals is they never hunkered down and waited for better days. They never allowed it to, and I had one kid the other day, he looked at me and he said, he's missing his leg, and he said, sir, I'm just going to sit in an A-frame house and fish every day. And my response to him was, the hell you are. You're a role model for your kids. Your responsibility now, instead of to your platoon or your squad, is to your family. And that responsibility should weigh heavy on you. And the worst thing you can do, though, is if things aren't going well. The other one is that they don't follow those things we talked about at the beginning of this. They don't make their career path and then stick to it. And hey, if you hate your job, don't quit before you got another job. Those are the ones, but you should plan that you're not going necessarily, your next job is not your career. The career is the industry you're going in, and your objective, your goal should be to be the CEO of that company. And don't let a fortress mentality kick in. Oh.
So I understood the word hua finally when I heard from you.
Don't say that again. You're not allowed to say that again.
Okay, understood. I think I want to thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your time, and I will use that word only in private circles.
I'm just teasing. You can use it all the time. It's just realize it's a question and it's an answer.
I see. So okay, so who is the question and who is the answer? Is that the idea? Maybe.
Yeah.
It means anything and everything.
Hua. Okay.
There you go.
Hey,
so with that, I think
which goes to the next comment. Don't go in and ever say squared away. Civilians don't understand squared away. You say squared away, and they're going to come in with a box and put it on your desk. All right. So just make sure you use precise terms precisely.
Yep.
Guys, you're going to do great. Yeah, you're going to do great. Thanks for your service. Thanks for your leadership. And now realize that a lot of people are watching you, and make that transition. Take advantage of Rally Point 6. I'm a huge fan. And next time I'm in Seattle, Tacoma at the end of next month, I look forward to linking up with y'all and buying you an adult beverage.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you, sir.
Better yet, we'll let First Sergeant buy us all an adult beverage.
I'll buy the first round, sir.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.